friends.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, it is time to talk some wrestling here on a Sunday night. Pro wrestling, that is, coming off of WWE's, one of their favorite shows that they do every year. One of my favorite shows, I should say, that they do every year. The Royal Rumble yesterday, Saturday, from Saudi Arabia. So plenty to talk about there. Gunther back at it, ending another career. So we can talk about that as well. Drew McIntyre with his title defense was on the card. So we'll get to all of that here in just a second. I'm Jake Bockoven. He is Nuclear Heat contributor Augie Pena, my tag team partner. Augie, how's it going? I see you got your Nebraska jacket on. Did you go to the game or just cheer from home?
No, I just cheered from home today. I maybe the Purdue game, I'll make it to there. But man, such a close game, except for that second half that they could have turned it over. But it's always good to watch some Nebraska play, and even though we lost the way we lost, still competitive and all that stuff. Still excited for it. But yeah, got to rep them, now got to be more excited for the basketball season than the football season.
Yeah, it is. It has turned that way here in Nebraska. The world is upside down, certainly, but that's all right. And we'll see Nebraska basketball get back to it. That's part of being a top 10 team. Sometimes you go out there and face it. Now we know what it's like to be top 5 and lose. We haven't done that before this week. So at least new experiences. But in any case, let's jump into WWE here. The weekly program, we usually go over Raw and SmackDown, but usually when there's a premium live event, we kind of focus on that a little bit more. The same will be done this week, specifically because I don't know, like I can go through it here, and maybe we will by the end of the show. There just wasn't a whole lot going on in the weekly program. A lot of it was just kind of setting up the Royal Rumble, and so your main events were kind of 8-man tag team matches and stuff and so it just that's fine, and it's a good kind of preview for the Rumble. But man, as soon as I saw that, especially on SmackDown, we're gonna have the main event's gonna be an 8-man tag. You don't need to watch it. There's nothing that's gonna come out of that's gonna affect the Rumble.
Yeah, it was bad. It's rough, and especially when you see some of those people on the SmackDown or the Raw beforehand, right? It's going to be filled with people who are just not going to be participating, in which surprised me with a lot of people that were left out of the Rumble when we do get to that. But yeah, a lot of disappointment, just like you said, leading up to the Rumble, all that, which is, like yours, it's my second favorite, it's probably my favorite, event that they put on outside of WrestleMania. So, was hyped, did watch Raw and SmackDown. And like you said, it kind of was just a lot of filler. And boy, I'm going to say SmackDown going back to 3 hours or going to 3 hours makes it very hard on a Friday night to watch that from 7 to 10.
Yes, it is. It is a lot. And that I've noticed that with SmackDown recently too. And you've got enough talent in there and enough talent in the company, and they're constantly bringing up people from NXT and bringing people over and all that sort of stuff. But 3 hours is just a long time to keep people's attention. And Raw, since it's kind of Netflix, it's kind of down to 2.5, which I think feels a little bit better. You don't have to stretch anything out or give it extra airtime just to get the airtime in. Yeah. And SmackDown has been dragging a little bit, so we'll see if they can fix that. We don't need to bury the lead. Everybody kind of knows what happened here. We'll go over a lot of what specifically what happened in the Royal Rumble, but from this year's champion or this year's winners of the Royal Rumble, Liv Morgan and Roman Reigns. What are your initial thoughts on the choices there? I think both of them, interestingly enough, I think we basically picked them, or at least when you kind of throw out there were top names to consider going in. Of course, a big difference from last year when Jey Uso won and shocked the world. Charlotte Flair making a return last year was probably, not as much of a shock, but, kind of along the Liv Morgan lines, a decision that can be predictable, but if you do it well, can be done, can make some sense. And I think that that's certainly the case. We'll start off with Liv Morgan.
Yeah, went back. I think, like you said, this was both of our first choices. Just the writing on the wall, right? Before her injury, she was, once again, kind of poised for that run there. And then what they did in the Rumble, where, they're starting that break, they're going to potentially start that breakup. So yeah, I thought that was the best thing to do there. And she has two fun storylines she can go to. I'm thinking she's probably going to go the Stephanie Vaquera route, because I just don't know if her and Jade Cargill have even had any sort of interaction, really. So with Liv Morgan, I thought that was the right choice there.
Yeah, and tomorrow night we'll see too. Stephanie McCurry's got a match with Raquel Rodriguez. If Raquel obviously wins that one, he'd have Judgment Day on Judgment Day Crime there, which we already had in the Royal Rumble, because Liv Morgan eliminated Raquel Rodriguez, and probably was the best moment of the night. It may be the best, certainly the best moment of that match, but I thought it was the best moment of the night. Because usually you kind of draw these things out. The big eliminations are big surprises, and Raquel Rodriguez just dragged Rhea Ripley out, throws her throws her out. And you're thinking, man, that's such a big moment. That was the biggest moment of the match. And then before you can blink, Liv Morgan eliminates Raquel Rodriguez, and there you have the biggest surprise of the match as well. And so, that was really well done. And I think that's part of it too, is when you arrive to, who won and how did they, a big part of it is how does this look?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they did a great job. Liv Morgan, Sol Ruca, at the end, along with Tiffany Stratton and Liv Morgan, so you're still kind of guessing. You probably figure Sol Ruca is probably a long shot there, but you never know. But certainly could have gone either way with Tiffany Stratton returning at number 30. Maybe that you naturally have some stories to tell there. But going with Liv Morgan, I thought was the right choice. On the other side, Roman Reigns, a popular pick. A lot of people thought that this might be the case. I've seen a little bit more backlash on it. Like I was just saying, it can be even if it's predictable, it can, if done the right way, it can be the right decision. But there is always this, and I think that this is what's kind of holding people up with Roman Reigns is the decision. It is the second time winning the Royal Rumble, by the way. If you remember, did so in 2015 and was booed out of the building for doing it. And in this case, he wins. He was one of the last entries into the Royal Rumble. And I'm kind of torn here, because some people will say the Royal Rumble, it's better when it can be somebody that can't just walk up and ask for a match, right? I say that's generally for a title match. That is, I say that's generally more true about Money in the Bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's more of that. Royal Rumble usually, I mean, we've seen over the years, the Hulk Hogan's, the Ric Flairs, I mean, you name it, kind of the who's who of wrestling win this thing, and I guess it sets you up for a WrestleMania main event match, or at least in that discussion. I always thought that was funny. For months we were talking about Jey Uso is going to have to main event WrestleMania. He didn't end up main eventing it, but the idea is to main event WrestleMania. But that, I guess the controversy, maybe even more than all of that going around Roman Reigns, is that he went on, what was it, ESPN, or at least a podcast recently before Royal Rumble, and basically said they need me. The writing has not worked as well the last couple of years without me. And so they bring him right in and maybe prove his point there, because they go out and get their guy who they've been building up. And I think Roman Reigns is completely over as you can be as a modern day wrestler right now. So that's not necessarily the problem. But it'll be his 11th main event at WrestleMania. He was once force fed again with the original time when he won the Royal Rumble. Now I think it's a welcome sight, at least for me, because I've mentioned it before. At times it does feel a little bit is missing as far as star power with Roman Reigns kind of being a part-timer, if you will, at this point in his career.
Yeah, and we talked about it, and it's that star power, right? That factor, that whether he's around 5 times a year or something like that. Whenever Roman Reigns shows up, crowd goes crazy. Everybody wants him there. And you talked about the two champions. You got CM Punk and you got Drew McIntyre. After the Royal Rumble, you kind of see where Drew McIntyre is going with his feud, right? It's probably going to go back to the Cody Rhodes thing. So CM Punk and Roman Reigns, that's money. That's something that last year's Royal Rumble, they eliminated each other. WrestleMania, they had that triple threat throw. I think that could be a lot of fun there. But yeah, I thought that was the right decision. When you start looking down the list, I mean, of who was in the Royal Rumble, really outside of, is it Obafemi? Obafemi. I thought he was the star of this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I was like, he is the next big thing. Like he's 6'6", 310. Like that guy's just crazy. But outside of that, I was like, okay, there was no Finn Balor, there was no Dominic Mysterio, not a member of the Wyatt Six in this Royal Rumble, things like that. And I'm like, I really can't see anyone else I want to win the Royal Rumble. Who deserves outside of my boy LA Knight, but you just know that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, that's
on there and everything. And then of course, Gunther, I was like, no, he already had his moment. He doesn't need this Rumble here. So it is one of those things where they kind of just had to fall back on Roman Reigns because I don't know what WWE's doing here, but it's like they're lacking, creating those mega stars, or they have a mega star like LA Knight who they just refuse to give anything to.
Yeah, it's interesting. He did. We'll get to this later. He partially helped eliminate Brock Lesnar, but of course that was almost off screen.
Yeah.
So I mean, due to Jey Uso's entry, but we can get into that. But yeah, very interesting with the winners there. And you hit on a point too that I was fascinated by, because we know WWE's definitely been on a Gunther push. When Gunther walks out there at number 30 and then comes down to him in Roman Reigns, I thought because they had him limping to the ring, that's partially okay. We can kind of sell off there. They were about to go from, and they've been dealing, we've talked about it with him. Does he have a lot of heat? Are they, did they get the most out of retiring John Cena? All that sort of stuff. I think he was pretty close. I mean, if he would have run the Rumble, the amount of heat that he would have had would have vastly surpassed, anything he got from the AJ Styles match. Yeah. I was thinking, do they want this place to burn down? If Gunther won that thing, my goodness, WWE fans would have gone just insane.
Yeah, and I'll also say this. I agreed. As soon as I saw him at 30 limping, I was like, please, no. I was like, don't win. But we got to go to WWE. Can never have the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia again, because that was the worst crowd I have ever seen. There was nobody in the crowd. When I was watching the Women's Royal Rumble, I paused it and I was like, are those empty seats? Like, is the whole end of the stadium just empty seats?
Yeah.
You pointed this out to me off air. There's no countdown. Like, I was counting down in my living room by myself, and I'm like, wait, are they not doing the 5, things like that? And then just, when you have guys that you don't know, there's still somewhat of a reaction, right? There were a couple of guys that literally got zero reaction, and ladies got zero reaction. And you're like, this is your second biggest premium live event you have. I understand Saudi probably threw, all this oil money at you, but that has to be probably one of the worst premium live events crowd-wise I've ever seen. And to give them a Royal Rumble like this, and then some of the, on the ladies' side at least, some of the people who returned, and then AJ Styles, his last match, that's who you gave that. You gave that crowd that kind of almost ruined. I wasn't super pleased with everything that happened, anyways. But or just kind of the product. It felt different. It felt rushed. And I heard something that it started at 10 p.m. their time.
Yeah, I think that was part
and
of
ended
it.
at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
I get it. You want, like, if it's going to be that big of a difference there, why have it there? Like
tape delay or something. I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Like it just didn't make sense. And, they obviously had their favorites. I'm kind of jumping around here, but the Bellas, they absolutely loved them.
Oh, yeah.
They loved them. And there were some, there, but man, like AJ Styles, his last match, all that stuff is to a crowd of what? Maybe 2,000 people? Because there was like nobody there. I mean, it was the lower bowl had people, and then nothing.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've seen, so there's a big debate now because WWE will never tell you. They always overinflate their attendance record. So you can't really take it from them. There's a big debate on whether it was that way or whether there were people in the seats, but the lights that they put above every seat made it look like there were no people there. And so there are people that are taking like pictures in social media that were there, and you could see people there. But I'm still questioning it because it's like, what time was that taken? Because to your point, the women's Royal Rumble, they did the whole like the camera side view, and they turned it around one time when Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss were just like, and they were like trying to do something like, hey, we're talking to the crowd over here, and there's nobody there. So I mean, I think, like you said, creatively, there might be some things that everybody would do differently when you have this many, people, elimination, that sort of stuff. That's going to happen. Everybody's going to have their different opinion on it. But the crowd, I thought, really did hurt this. And again, I'm sure they might walk away with their biggest paycheck ever for a Royal Rumble in doing this. But it really did, to your point, like, I think there are just other events that you can do there, right? I mean, they already do Crown Jewel, but there are certain events that you need, and maybe they're hoping, like they've had overseas crowds, right? Yeah. And they've even done, again, Crown Jewel, they've been fantastic, but maybe it was that late start over there, whatever it was, it just really bogged down a lot of the big moments. Like you said, AJ Styles' career didn't you feel like it should come down to a half-empty stadium, which, by the way, they just like put it together for this. And yeah, I mean, the non-countdown sort of stuff and just the, it just didn't feel like you were connected to the WWE universe there. Yeah. It felt like to give credit to some of the people in the backstage. And it was kind of funny too, because the actual camera, like, it would back up enough to show like there's like you said, a couple thousand people going crazy behind him. But then if it backed out too much, you could tell they'd like back out too much and be like, you could probably hear Triple H and something like zoom in a little bit. And they did, because it just, the wide crowd shot every time was like, man, and it makes you feel, I don't know how to say this other than like, it was the same way. I was just say this way, when the Husker games, right? When they went there and there was, it didn't feel like a normal spring game, because I felt like I was like a Husker nerd or something there, because there wasn't that many people there. It's kind of the same thing when you invest all this time, and if the show's at 1:00 here Central Time, you make your day is dedicated toward this, and you're watching, and it doesn't look like enough people even care that are there. It always hurts the event a little bit. And I completely agree with you. I mean, I think there are plenty of other, you want to get your paycheck, that's fine, but the Royal Rumble is just not it. This is a very big crowd reaction type of event. And again, credit to the folks that were there. They were going crazy, but it just wasn't enough people there.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, because if they ever brought a premium live event to Lincoln, Nebraska, I don't care if it starts at 10 p.m. I'm going to that thing. Yeah. And I know you're probably going to that thing, and we're just going to have a late night. But I don't know, because that whole the lights, I saw that too. But then you could sometimes see people in their seats, next to it, and it just seemed like there was nobody there, and it was just so weird. And I just but got to give a huge shout out to him. That guy with the green shirt with the smiley face.
Yeah, he made it again.
He made it there. He was there front and center. And to their credit, there were some great reactions. The AJ Styles, when the Bella Twins got eliminated, all that stuff, they let him know. But yeah, it didn't feel like a Royal Rumble. It just felt, and to give it their credit, remember France, Puerto Rico, like those places, like anywhere overseas, like just do it. And I'll say, I kind of enjoyed the premium live event being at 1, just kind of, I know,
wasn't bad,
because I didn't really do much this weekend. So, I kind of just got to watch it. But if it was going to start at like 7 a.m., that's around what time I wake up anyways, so it'd kind of be nice to watch it. So I don't know, they could probably adjust it, but then I understand, in the Pacific, on the California, to start at 5 a.m., that'd be a little bit hard, things like that. But yeah, I just don't think they can do that again, and this might be something they learn from. And hopefully we don't see a WrestleMania out there, because that could be bad.
Well, I think they're planned. Didn't they announce they got one planned out there in a few years?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is maybe Triple H and them will be, because also I knew it felt rushed. Normally it's 90 seconds between. It felt like it was 30 seconds. Probably because they were hitting 1 or 2 a.m., towards the end of the show. And that's what they were saying, is the men's Royal Rumble didn't start till like 12:30 or something a.m. their time. Yeah. So because it felt like by the time somebody entered the ring, the countdown was on. So everything felt rushed. Every spot felt rushed. The Brock Lesnar spot, everything. And it ruined the experience of the Royal Rumble for everybody here. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it was still fun, but this has got to be a bottom 5 Royal Rumble I've ever watched.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to get. I think a lot of that was just the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Again, the crowds can definitely make the Royal Rumble more exciting. I think it was a fine product, right? I think when we come out of it, and there were some surprises, some exciting eliminations, some stuff that's going to come out of it. So again, I don't think booking wise they did anything wrong, but I do agree with you. This is not our Royal Rumble I'm going to remember. Or when they do replays of the Royal Rumble, they're not going to put a whole lot of this tape in there. Again, for Obafemi, there might be some names that, Lash Legend had a particular. So, I mean, there's going to be people that do, are remembered and you look back at this one. But for the most part, that crowd it killed a lot of it. And it was distracting. It was, it was like that. There was a lot of talk online throughout the show with that. I couldn't help myself, but it was, just every crowd shot would be like, man, it would make you think of it all over again.
Yep.
It's being like, what am I watching here? So that was a bit of a problem, but let's go ahead and jump into the show. All of that aside and get into the Women's Royal Rumble. Kind of an interesting way to start the show. Interesting way to start the Royal and the Rumble, in that they had tag team partners, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, of all people, drew number 1 and number 2. So they spent some time in the ring. They actually, and this is what people have been asking for years, if your teammates, just wait till the third person comes out. Now, they did tease doing a couple finishers on each other, which I thought it made for some entertaining time. But yeah, that was pretty good. Charlotte Flair would, by the way, ultimately accidentally eliminate Alexa Bliss. So we'll have to see if anything comes of that. Sometimes they build stories off that. Sometimes you just say, well, it's the Rumble, and this stuff happens. So we'll see. Kiana James came in next. I got to tell you, and it was when she picked up Nia Jax. This was later in the match. I have no interest in Kiana James and Julia and the story that we'd been talking about. I don't see much there. I don't know if this is any better for Julia. Now I'm interested in Kiana James, because I didn't know she had that strength in her, and I want to see her develop. I thought she had a really good Rumble.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact. I was like, this cannot be the same person that is with Julia, because she Samoa Slam Nia Jax, and she just had a lot of spots. It's like they know that she has that. And yeah, she killed it. I thought she was one. There was 5 or 6 people, we'll probably get into that, where I thought the breakout stars of this, and she's one of them. And now it's like, okay, maybe she can turn on Julia and take that U.S. title, because even with this Royal Rumble, Julia, she's your United States champion, and she was really an afterthought in this again.
Yes, she was. And that's not a bad idea. I would like to see maybe Kiana James come out. That would definitely bring some interest to that. Nia Jax came out early, which was kind of surprising. Even more surprising, she was eliminated early before Lash Legend could even get to the ring. Now, I thought at the time, I was like, how could, why would you write this way? I was so excited to see those two, obviously very physically daunting women on the same team in the ring. But it ultimately led to Lash Legend kind of having to fight for herself. And that was the best. I mean, she had 5 total eliminations. She eliminated Charlotte Flair, which was a big one down the line, this in Lash Legend. So again, we're going to be jumping around a little bit with these names that we bring up as I'm kind of going the order of, but yeah, I mean, she had a star making event as well. And I'm interested to see, where that kind of leads with her and Nia Jax. But you know me, I'm more of a Nia Jax fan than you are. I would have liked to see her in there a little longer.
No, I agree with you. I stepped away for 30 seconds thinking, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, they're safe. There's no way. I come back, I miss their elimination.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was 5 minutes into it. And I was like, I can't leave anymore, because this is the year, and that proved in the men's. This is the year WWE wasn't afraid. I'll say this about Lash Legend. Holy cow, she's got it. She's very stiff and very awkward, though. Did you saw her trying to go over the, little weird, but she's still very young, I think, right? She's 28 or 27. Yeah. Man, they have Jade Cargill, Lash, they've got some bruisers now on the women's side to kind of pair with the Nia Jax, somebody who's big. So That's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. And I know her name is Lash Legend, so she does the lashes too. But this is I think the second match where I see like I don't know anything about putting on lashes. I don't know what I don't even know what the process is. But it looks like half of her eyelashes coming off midway through the match. So I don't know. I don't know much about that.
That was also pointed out to me. So I don't know anything about it, but it was also pointed. And I was like, okay, now I can't unsee it, and that kind of ruined the ending of that for me.
So after Nia Jax, Ivy Nile came out. Lola Vice came out. She was eliminated first, but this was after like 8 women in the ring, so they filled it up. Candice LeRae, Jordan Grace didn't last too long, which I was happy for. I don't know why, because they've been building up her storyline, but as we've been talking about, that hasn't necessarily been going anywhere.
No, it just doesn't. But like you said, she's feuding with the WWE champ in a way, and she's like eliminated after 3 minutes, and she's somebody a power. I don't know, man. That was one I don't know why you were happy about it. I was just kind of like, this makes no sense now, right? Like I thought she'd make it to like the final 4 or something. She was like the 3rd person eliminated in this thing, and it's like, oh boy, here we go.
I thought she'd get a run, but maybe they see. I mean, maybe they've seen there has been almost zero crowd reaction. I know she's new, but to her feud, so maybe that was part of it. Becky Lynch came out after that. Kind of at a point in her career where she's more funny than dominating, and she did that again here. I think it's fine. She does great as far as anybody in a feud with her is elevated. I think she does great. They've included, in Royal Rumble's a big numbers event, so they got all the different numbers at the bottom of the stats. And another reason why I absolutely love the event. But for her tagline, it says the best in the world or whatever it is, and not just her saying it. Sports Illustrated said it. So, I thought that was pretty fun. Sol Ruca came in, and she lasted a long time up until the final 3. Roxanne Perez, Maxine Dupree, Natty, not Natalia, Natty made it in, and Liv Morgan making it in there at 14. Like we said, she would go on to win the whole thing. Lash Legends, Zelina Vega, Raquel Rodriguez, who we already went over, a big star. And again, this was just kind of a powerhouse type of women's Royal Rumble for a lot of the big moves. Raquel Rodriguez came in. Then Chelsea Green, who Alba Fire helped. And again, another example of not the most dominant wrestler, but very entertaining in what they could do. And Alba Fire saved her a few times, but ultimately it was not Chelsea Green's night.
I thought it was great. I was explaining to the people I was watching it with and all that stuff. I was like, she's not going to win it, but just watch what she does. And right away, she tried to form a feud with the Judgment Day.
That's right.
Lash Legend, like everybody, she was like, just like, let's do this. I thought they have to give her something big here soon, right? You have to assume they can't just keep having her be so over losing, kind of like a Dom, right? Like you got to think it's coming. Come Money in the Bank. Let's go Money in the Bank with her. But I thought she did phenomenal in the 5 minutes she was also in this.
Yeah. I always think she's fantastic. Julia made her way in. Io Sky, Asuka, who ended up getting eliminated by Kairi Sane. I love the Kabuki Warriors. They've been kind of teasing this all along. This looks to be maybe where they break it up.
Yeah.
And I love Kairi Sane, but she needs to be part of a tag team. I don't even know, this singles feud. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to it or what there. It was also it wasn't done the best. Like you could see it coming from a mile away. So there was that part. But again, she's like 100 pounds soaking wet, and she just doesn't, that language barrier and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I love Kairi Sane. I'm worried that this is going to expose that she's not a single star here.
Yeah, but also if you looked at because they were kind of feuding with Io Sky the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And Io Sky was kind of like, it looked like she was scared, like she was worried about it, right? Maybe Kairi goes back there.
Maybe.
And I love the spot when Asuka got eliminated. She just yells, Kairi! She just keeps, and Kairi's like, and then gets, I thought that was hilarious. So I agree with you. She needs somebody. Maybe she can go with Io. Maybe Io and Rhea can split up, and then Io and Kairi can be together. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll see. And that was kind of the spot for them in there. Rhea Ripley made her way. Of course, she was dominant in this match. Bailey, JC Jane, Nikki Bella, Lyra Valkyria, Kalani Jordan, Kairi Sane, who we mentioned, she was number 28. The big surprise on the night, Brie Bella makes a return. We've already talked about the Bella twins being in it, but great to see. And you were wondering, it always seems like when one of these gals return, the sisters coming at some point.
Yeah, and something that was pointed out to me is Nikki Bella, since she's returned and wearing her gear, she's been wearing number 2.
Yeah.
02. Breeze 01. So it kind of there. And the crowd loved her. For as small as the crowd was, and we talk about it, they went absolutely crazy. She did the yes, kicks.
Oh, yeah.
It was all a lot of fun. And it's good to see her back. So hopefully, she's there. But the one thing I do want to say is, I knew Nikki was going to be there, having Brie. Just makes me kind of appreciate Nikki coming back a little bit more if it brought Brie, because, those two can do some magic together. And I think that's always fun.
Well, and we talked about the women's tag team division is probably the best it's ever been. A lot of that with single stars pairing together. Now you bring back a classic duo. Could be interesting what they do there. And then, as we mentioned, Tiffany Stratton, number 30, good 30 pick. She's been off TV for a while, obviously very dominant, went about a year without losing. So, that kind of elevated the match there at the end. And once again, she made it to the final 3 along with Sol Ruka. But Liv Morgan ultimately taking home the prize there. She had been second in a few Royal Rumbles, 2 of them. So to get first was big for her and punch her ticket to WrestleMania. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the men's Royal Rumble on 93.7 The Ticket.
Tired of your furnace running overtime this winter? Let Heartland of Nebraska Windows save the day. Upgrade to stunning, energy-saving triple-pane vinyl windows installed by their team of experts. Every window comes with a lifetime warranty on everything, all for a price you can actually afford. Free estimates, flawless replacements, and peace of mind from a family-owned business you can trust. Don't wait. Call Heartland of Nebraska Windows at 402-430-3852 or visit heartlandofnebraskawindows.com today.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio, video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
And electrical.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Is your furnace ready for winter? Call Bryant to perform a thorough check for comfort and peace of mind. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Whatever it takes.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket, talking Royal Rumble from this past Saturday. We went through the women's event. Let's get to the men's. One of the stars of the men's event, certainly Bockoven, as he had a Lesnar-like run, eliminated 5 competitors in this matchup, and he started off. His first victim, if you will, was Braun Breaker, but Braun Breaker was attacked by a man in a mask with a curb stomp. So kind of like Survivor Series all over again. Now who's the man? We don't really know. But I was a little bit disappointed from there. I think great start, right? I'm very much entertained. Bockoven, like you said in this show earlier, Augie, looks to be the star of the future, and people have been saying that, but you can really see it in there. Moves really well for how big he is. But I was a little bit disappointed that the Vision didn't necessarily, they could have made a story out of this of are they trusting Austin Theory? Because Austin Theory would be one of the, that sort of thing. They just kind of, Braun Breaker got eliminated. This is who they were putting together. They were going to try to help him win this thing. And it didn't seem to really affect Logan Paul or Austin Theory or Bronson Reed by the time he got in. Paul Heyman was so unaffected by it, he went and got Brock Lesnar. So I'm interested to see kind of where they go with it. A lot of people think maybe Seth Rollins. Other people are thinking maybe Logan Paul or again Austin Theory. But I would have really liked them. This should have been, hey, Austin Theory, is that you? But they didn't really go down that route.
No, they didn't at all. And I'll just say it was not Seth Rollins. You watch the guy, the way he did everything. Right away, I was like, that's not Seth Rollins. I don't even think that was Austin Theory. Somebody with a beard. That's all you could really see. But fortunately, they got the mask on, so you can't tell who it is. But I was also like, okay, that's interesting. But at the same time, I was like, yes, this is Braun Breaker. This is a guy we thought could be an Iron Man through it. He gets eliminated right away. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I actually think every other member of the Vision at least got one elimination, so they did something. It just kind of threw it. And as much as I love the Bockoven stuff, I'm saying it, Bockoven. I'm going to mess his name up forever. I kind of hate when they start a Royal Rumble like this, where it's one guy and he's just eliminating people one after one after one. And you don't get the 6-10 people, because it went 6 or 7 people before.
Yeah, they're pretty good names. Solo Sikoa, Rey Mysterio, Rusev got less than a minute.
He got 20 seconds in there.
Yeah.
Damian Priest, got in there. I think Damian Priest is where it stopped.
Matt Cardona,
yeah. Matt Cardona, was somebody. So while it's fun and you can establish it, I think it'd be a lot more fun if you kind of let it build up and then have him start to, eliminate everything. But yeah, he's a monster. He's going to be someone I'm very excited to see. We're guilty of it. We don't watch NXT, but some of their newer guys that they had in here, like Javon Evans.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Talk about a taller Kofi Kingston. That's your guy right there.
Yeah. And he's young as heck. Was the Iron Man in this match, over 40 minutes for Javon Evans. So he put on a bit of a show here. We mentioned most of the names in so far. Oh, we have a difference in agreement on this one, as we talked about a pre-match. Loved Mr. Iguana coming out. You weren't as big of a fan. It's the Royal Rumble. You got to have some fun with it.
Yeah, but you leave out every member of the Judgment Day. So Finn Balor, JD. I know Dom's, I think, nursing an injury. So he can't do that. But Y2J, just anybody, you could have had anybody here. No members of the Wyatt Six, no members of the MFT outside of Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
Like, you have all these factions and everything, that are supposed to be big and bad and everything. And you don't have, like, outside of Solo Sikoa, you don't have a single member of any of them enter this Royal Rumble. And Mr. Guana, what did he do? He was funny. He put his pet on Damian Priest and, all that stuff. So
was it Francesca got choke slammed by Damian Priest as well?
Like, I don't even know, man. It just was. I know they're pushing him a lot because they have that AAA contract, but this guy and who's the skeleton guy?
La Parka, right?
La Parka, who as soon as I saw him, I was like, I know him from somewhere, WCW, right?
Yeah, it's a character that kind of has been passed.
But
down.
then I found out that this is like it's just another reuse.
Yeah.
And
not the same guy.
Talk about zero reaction when he came out. Cricket, but he was also great in there. He was trying to be funny, but no reaction at all. Like he's super athletic, but those were a couple spots I was kind of like, did we really? I'm my some of my ancestors from Mexico, all that stuff, right? Love it all. Yeah, I was even like, we didn't need some of these guys in here. We could have used some of the guys that we fan favorites, something like no Shinsuke. There's a lot of guys that could have been in this, and Carmelo Hayes, who they've been building up, not in the Royal Rumble.
Like you mentioned, Finn Balor, they've kind of storylined the Finn Balor reason as to why he didn't get in, but it looks like he's going to go and get a shot at another champion. I think he's going to feud with CM Punk still, so still going to get an opportunity. But I'll always love Finn Balor, so missed seeing him out there. We did see Trick Williams out there. He did pretty well, had a few eliminations, including Mr. Iguana. We saw Cody Rhodes, who was ultimately eliminated by Drew McIntyre, which is interesting. As much as I did not want Cody Rhodes to win, this is another one where I would have played with people's feelings. I would have waited till maybe 3 or 4 left and then had McIntyre eliminated. That would have been an all-time moment. Midway through the match, it's still a moment, but
I mean, it was. But as soon as I saw him hanging there, and then they tried not to show Drew McIntyre, right? But they showed him for a second. Right away, I was like, Drew McIntyre is going to kick. And I stood up. I applauded. I was like, yes. I was like, he is not winning on there. But then I sat back down and I'm like, great. He's probably going to take the title away from Drew McIntyre before WrestleMania, and he's going to be somebody that's chased. But yeah, I'm with you. They, a lot of people could have probably made it to the Final Four. Logan Paul doesn't need to be in the Final Four every Royal Rumble. He's great. We can admit that. He does not need to be in the Final Four. Like that just...
If that's in his contract or something.
Yeah, it's every Royal Rumble. I think he's in the Final Four, Final 3 maybe. And it just blows my mind because you're like, he's not winning, right? And so, Cody could have been someone in there. But ultimately, like I said, I was happy with it. But and when I saw Cody come out, he came out at like 14 or something, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they're either going to really make everybody mad and have him be the Iron Man, or there's a reason he's coming out at 14. And it was for a good reason in my cause there. So.
Yeah. I was fine with it. And it does. I think it makes it more interesting. Drew, I love the champion he's like protecting. He goes out and just attacks randomly. Yep. Cody Rhodes hasn't really been his arch nemesis here for a while. It's more been Jacob Fatu, but he's still making sure Cody Rhodes doesn't get a shot at him. We had El Grande Americano and original El Grande Americano. So each of them tried to take each other's masks off. That didn't work. But great to see. The bigger news here is Chad Gable's back, which Chad Gable's fantastic.
Yeah, and here's another one. They could have had the original El Grande Americano come out. They got eliminated. Then you could have had Chad Gable come back in. But they had to have Mr. Iguana. I'm going to keep going on that. But I thought it was funny, but and you kind of saw it coming, right? Like this was all going to be fun in there. But the fact that they were only in there for like 30 seconds to a minute, I thought they should have. I wish it would have been a little bit longer. Yeah. But as soon as I heard that music and I saw original El Grande Americano, I was like, okay, here we go.
And it probably is now gearing that we've talked about it, how the Ludwig Kaiser's group has kind of lost a lot of steam. Yeah. They needed Chad Gable to come back. This kind of puts it back on track, with all due respect to Ryo, and I can't remember the other one's name, but I don't remember they're not really necessarily pulling it off at this point. Interesting, we saw Powerhouse Hobbs named Flash, and then they changed his name to Royce Keys as he made his way over from AEW. I don't know too much about the guy, but Powerhouse Hobbs sounds a lot better than Royce Keys.
It does. I saw something like his son's name is Royce and his mother's maiden name's Keys, something like that. But another guy, you're debuting all these people in Saudi Arabia. So guess
zero reaction.
Even I Googled and I'm like, okay, he seems pretty cool. And everybody was like, so on social media, like, oh, Royce Key, this and that. But you wouldn't know that at,
I'm watching it.
Yeah, you watch, but he's another guy. Holy cow. Like Biggie Langston kind of guy, Biggie there. Yeah. I mean, he's WWE. They're finding these powerhouses. So hopefully they can do something with them.
Austin Theory and Bronson Reed back to back. But again, they didn't have the greatest Rumble. Nothing really stood out from then. Ilya Dragunov came out. I think the biggest moment for him is when Lesnar did not sell his chops, which they've been, again, sometimes you put on the show, like he's been getting 30 minutes a week wrestling and trying to hey, let's highlight actual wrestling. And then you have him go against Brock Lesnar and he no sells for him, which by the way, Dragunov, when Lesnar didn't quite get him out of the ring.
Yeah.
He way oversold for Lesnar right after Lesnar no sold for him. I'm sure it was written in, but it was just kind of interesting to see that. You mentioned La Parka, Dragon Lee, Logan Paul, LA Knight. I'll name off everybody before we get to the specifics here. The Miz, that's a guy I'll just say it. I don't like him being in there. I'm a Kane guy. Kane has the most Royal Rumble appearances right now. The Miz made an appearance but didn't need to. Yeah. Rey Fenix came out late. Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu, Penta, Randy Orton, and Gunther at 30. We've talked a little bit about that. The thing that we haven't talked about out of this is going to include our favorite Jey Uso here. We mentioned it for a half second, but Brock Lesnar is still, no matter what, when he's in a ring, it's the biggest name. It's the biggest attraction. He is, they've given him everything. He beat Undertaker for God's sake, and then dominated WWE for years after that. And then whoever they were putting over to try to put at the top would have to go through Brock Lesnar. And so when he came back and he made his announcement on Pat McAfee. So, I mean, between him and Roman Reigns just having a flash that he's going to come on some random SmackDown, they could have done better as far as surprises, or at least announcing that these guys came back. All that, the biggest thing that I'm leaning to that I want to get to here is Brock Lesnar was eliminated. Jey Uso's music. Jey Uso, of course, everybody loves his entrance, so he did that. But his music is going on in the biggest moment, Drew McIntyre's career. I'll always think about eliminating Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble, kind of putting him over, making him, he's a made man afterwards. And so you're waiting. I was waiting when Lesnar was in there. Either he's going to win it or somebody's going to get put over by eliminating him. And it's going to be one of the biggest matches of the evening, or biggest moments of the night. Instead, it happens during Jey Uso's music. It's barely on television. The commentators don't even know what to do. It's Jey Uso's first run. He gets to the ring and then runs it back, which is the shtick he's been doing. Yeah, that was the worst. And I don't know if that was, if that was supposed to happen before Jey. Like we said, they started to kind of rush the clock. It didn't seem they were given as much time. I don't know if Brock Lesnar was supposed to get eliminated and then Jey Uso's music hits. If that was just the wrong timing altogether and they messed it, I don't know. But that could not possibly be how you book your biggest star. I mean, they had to pay a pretty penny, I'm sure, to get Brock Lesnar in their match, and they got nothing out of it. Much less to say that it was, for some reason, Cody Rhodes and LA Knight together that did it. So you didn't really make anybody, you didn't get anybody either any further over anyways by eliminating Lesnar. I mean, this is when he eliminated Obafemi. This should be the buildup. This should, if you're going to do Femi and Lesnar at WrestleMania, have a big match and kind of set it up here. They missed the mark completely. That was the biggest mistake of the night.
Yeah, and those two things. One, Jey Uso, I get it. You want him to interact with the crowd. But he's literally snail walking at a snail's pace down there. And even I was like, stop painting in their stuff. And then you blink, you miss Brock Lesnar getting eliminated. And like you said, there was no reaction to it because Jey Uso's music is playing. The whole place is blinking because of it. And he's out. And then the biggest part for me was the Obafemi.
Yeah.
They had two stare downs and, there was a little bit of an interaction. But why does Brock Lesnar have to eliminate him? What Brock Lesnar is in his 40s. he comes back every 4 or 5 times a year, right? You know, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam. It's what he does. Obafemi is going to be the next big thing. In my eyes, if you have an Obafemi, you don't need a Brock Lesnar. So you didn't need to do that. And then Brock was out there just kind of making fun of everybody. Like you said, the Dragunov didn't do that. Obafemi, he kind of like did this like gorilla thing towards him and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a mess. And that, I think, kind of really turned like my attitude down when I was like, if that's what they do there, I was like, you know, this is bad. That has to go down as one of the worst moments in the Royal Rumble.
It does in Royal Rumble history. I think again, the men's event was fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Roman Reigns ultimately winning it is a choice. It's again fine. A lot of historical names have won it and won it more than once, so it kind of puts him in those conversations. But that was the low light of the night.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll quickly talk Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, the hero, the underground, the underdog. Couldn't get it done once again, and Gunther puts an end to AJ Styles' career as long as they'll take his gloves off. We'll talk about that coming up next year on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Way out there where the sun comes up under the big red sky, I do life the way I love, with family by my side. I feel home with me, no matter where I go.
Proud of where we're from, excited for where we're going. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Tired of your furnace running overtime this winter? Let Heartland of Nebraska Windows save the day. Upgrade to stunning, energy-saving triple-pane vinyl windows installed by their team of experts. Every window comes with a lifetime warranty on everything, all for a price you can actually afford. Free estimates, flawless replacements, and peace of mind from a family-owned business you can trust. Don't wait. Call Heartland of Nebraska Windows at 402-430-3852 or visit heartlandofnebraskawindows.com today.
Make your next event unforgettable with Grazing Gouda, your local artists and experts in charcuterie and grazed tables. From boardrooms to ballrooms, they turn gatherings into experiences with stunning spreads of artesian cheeses, cured meats, fresh fruits, and gourmet bites. Perfect for corporate luncheons, weddings, parties, or any celebration that deserves a wow moment. They handle the details. You take the compliments. Book your graze table today at GrazingGouda.com. Grazing Gouda, because every event deserves to be savored.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at SauterHeyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wrapping up Nuclear Heat here on 93.7 The Ticket with a few more matches we didn't get over of Royal Rumble quite yet, and that's not fair to AJ Styles. He had quite a career, so we at least want to give him his due. We'll finish with that one. I did want to start with Drew McIntyre defeating Sami Zayn. That was for the undefeated WWE Championship. Kind of interesting. Something was going to have to falter here, as Drew McIntyre was 11-0 against Sami Zayn entering the match, and Sami Zayn was undefeated when fighting in the Middle East. But ultimately, McIntyre wins here with 2 Claymores. It took a few of them, but some back-to-back Claymores was able to knock the hero of the underground out there. A lot of near falls in it, but ultimately McIntyre wins. I believe this too, and I couldn't remember. Was this I don't know who put up that table by the announcer's table. I think Sami got powerbombed through there with Drew McIntyre. We'll have it where there's like 6 guys on top of the announcer's table and it doesn't quite break and they have to keep doing that thing. Just exploded as soon as it went on there. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but obviously the right choice here. And I continue to say this about the Sami Zayn. I'm glad they gave him the spotlight, I think, but it just seems 2 years too late, right? Like there's a certain amount there's time when Sami Zayn had the WWE universe and they wanted to see him be the next big thing. And then, they tease it here and there throughout the last couple of years. And now they just kind of brought it back out. And again, good. You put it, you rest it on the shelf for long enough. At some point, you can bring it out and kind of do the big push there. But it just felt like everybody knew all along it wasn't going to happen. So it didn't feel, organic.
Yeah, no, not at all. And, like you said, this was a fun match. I like that power bomb through the table. That looked painful. And I think 2 Claymores in a row to end it. Sami Zayn can sell, and the crowd was behind him, so that was good. And I thought maybe because they were in Saudi Arabia, he might get a chance at it. But I ultimately think they went with the right route because Drew McIntyre has more of a star power to him heading into the WrestleMania, and especially if he's going to kind of continue this storyline with Cody, like we mentioned earlier. This was the right move. But hey, Sami Zayn, if he's like anyone else other than LA Knight, second place, it'll pay off eventually. Just it wasn't right now.
Sami Zayn, LA Knight for the title. They should do that next time they have someone relinquish it or something. Something's got to give there. And then we saw the end of AJ Styles' career here against Gunther. A bit of a slower down pace match as Gunther will do at times. But ultimately, Styles passes out to the sleeper hold. Gunther said he was going to make him tap. Styles, unlike Cena, not going to tap here, but his career, he did put it on the line. Commentary was interesting. They acknowledged his TNA time. They acknowledged a lot of AEW stuff. Wouldn't quite say Daniel Bryan's name, but we're pretty close to it at one point during the broadcast. So they're more open to that sort of things. I remember, when AEW, maybe year and a half years old, the first slight mention of it. And it was the biggest talk whatsoever because one of the guys in the ring acknowledged it. Now, obviously to the point with Cody Rhodes coming back, that's part of the big story. But Gunther ends up putting the hold on AJ Styles. AJ Styles takes his gloves off, puts them back on, jumps back into the ring. A lot of people think maybe he's gonna make a little bit more of his way, maybe around TNA, AEW, maybe even. There are hopes out there for that, but this appears to be the end of his WWE career in the very least.
Yeah, and sad. Like I said, I'm not a fan of doing this in Saudi Arabia. He retired from the WWE in front of about 1,000 fans. That he could have done it in front of 15, 20, but good match. Gunther continuing. The guy's going to be hated for a very long time. They got to push him into WrestleMania season because he's retiring everybody. So, they got to make him the legend killer. And I think you got to put him back in the world title shot.
And I'm interested who's next. I mean, if you line it up, I mean, if this was your story and you're leading up to it, and we've seen Gunther lose at WrestleMania all these times, he's got to have to retire somebody at WrestleMania, I would think.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that would be right now. So that'll be kind of the interesting thing to see.
It better not be Rey Mysterio. That's what I'm saying. I'm not ready to see Rey Mysterio because they kind of had that confrontation, right?
Yeah.
So
Dom's got to do that.
Yeah. Makes me a little nervous on that. And they better not even think about a Randy Orton type of match.
Absolutely not. All right. That'll wrap it up for Nuclear Heat. We will be back next week. As I always say, one of my favorite weeks in wrestling is right after a premium live event. So it'll be interesting on the road to WrestleMania. We'll talk to you then.
Things